Now that I have successfully grown one lettuce with my hydroponic system that cost less than $100, I'm going to run through how it works, why I made the decisions I did, and what my future plans are going to be. So this is a 100-litre tote, food-safe plastic, and in it is a little $25 pump that I bought online, and it's plugged into a timer that turns the pump on for 1 minute every hour during daylight hours. The pump's connected to this 13mm tube, irrigation tube or irrigation hose, that pumps the nutrient solution up to this manifold that I 3D printed. And that splits the 13mm hose into four 4mm hoses or tubes. And they run into these pots. The pots are clipped onto lattice, and the lattice is just sitting on the ground with a 100-litre reservoir, which is 100 kilos, just propping it up against the fence to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. These pots clip onto the lattice, so I can move them around or change spacing if I have to. And in these pots sits a net cup that holds the clay pebbles and the roots and the plant. Now, on the back side of the pots, there's an opening for the tubes to come in on either side, depending on if the tube's going to come in from the right or the left. The design of this system isn't really to actually hold water. It kind of just showers the root system or the pebbles for that 1 minute that the pump is on every hour, and that's it. Now, the outlet hose from each pot that feeds into the pot below is actually a little bit higher than the bottom of the pot. Now, the idea for this is just to keep a little bit of water in the bottom of the pots during the day so that they don't dry out as quickly. I've designed and 3D printed the net cups, these pots, to have like maximal airflow and water flow. I didn't want to impede the root systems or anything. I just wanted something lightweight, easy, that will hold the pebbles and the roots in place, and then the water will come in and shower everything. Once the pump has got the nutrient solution to the top and this manifold where it splits off, the rest of this system is just gravity fed. These pots actually don't fill with water. I mean, they might fill a little bit when the pump comes on, but they're not meant to hold the water. Just comes in on the side, showers the pot and the root systems and everything, and then drains to the next one and does the same thing, and then to the next one, does the same thing, all the way to the bottom and back into the reservoir. I don't have an aeration stone or anything in there, it's just the pump. These net cups are just under 2 inches in diameter, or about 4.5 centimeters. And then the pots are a little bit larger. I think in the future I won't use these small pots. I think the 2-inch diameter net cups have actually worked out quite well. But I think in the future I'll just print this bigger one that I did for my lettuce. There's actually 3 lettuces in one net pot because I got impatient when I was doing my seedlings. And it's grown so much that it's actually broken the net pot or the net cup inside the pot. But the root system's in there, it gets plenty of water, it's growing really quite well actually. Very happy with it. So apart from the larger pot size, I think going forward the only other thing I would consider changing is going to slightly larger tubing. I actually really dislike this 13mm tube. It's very rigid. It's very difficult to get it to where you want to go or keep it somewhere. It's unwieldy. It's not great. But this smaller tube is very bendy, very easy to work with. But it does have a propensity to clog every now and then. And then sometimes one of these pots will leak, or it'll basically fill up with water and then come out of the back where these holes are for the hoses, and then it'll drip down a little bit. So far in this new house, since the system got set up, when I filled the reservoir to the brim, in a week, I think I've lost about 1 centimeter of water. Not a whole lot, not anything I'm worried about right now. In the future, I'll be looking at changing this manifold over so that all of these lines to the top row of pots are the same length, because I think that's important when I'm splitting the water flows, or else what I've noticed happening is the shorter runs get more water pressure and this is the one that's more likely to overflow than these longer runs. I did make a few mistakes with my tomatoes that I tried. I grew them from seed to seedlings too close together, too bunched up, because I've grown everything on little cotton balls actually, which goes into the net cup with the lacquer balls, the clay pebbles. And the cotton wool balls work great, but I got impatient when I was doing some seedlings and I put a few seeds on one wool ball thinking that I could split them up later on, but that doesn't work that way. I ended up having to cut the cotton wool balls in half to split them up, or into thirds to split the seedlings up, but then I ended up cutting through the root systems of some of the seedlings, which is why these ones, for example, are dying. As far as costs go, all up, I think the reservoir was $20 from Bunnings, so was the lattice. All of the irrigation tubing, the 13mm tube and the smaller 8mm tube, I think in total cost $25, and I've used like less than a quarter of both rolls, so that was fairly inexpensive. And then the pump itself was also $25. The pump has a head of like 3 meters, so it can pump a water column up 3 meters, so it can go much higher than this if I wanted to. But at the moment, this I think this is 1.8 meter long length of lattice from Bunnings works great for my needs. I also think in the future I'll just be printing these larger pots out, keeping the net cups the same, the little 2-inch net cups. I think they've worked really well, but I'll just do the pots bigger. This pot is actually double the volume of this pot. And then my next steps will be to print out another pot, which is again double the volume of this one, for the plants that I believe will need a larger root system, which is going to be my capsicums and tomatoes next. My seedling setup has actually been the worst part of my hydroponic wall. The lettuce I grew from seed grew really well, and I started it early. What I should have done is actually just started like 10 of them at once, or started other crops at the same time. But my first goal was just to see if I could grow something. And now that I have, I'm looking to expand, but expansion takes a lot more time than I want to spend. We're already in spring, I want to get things growing. So I'm going to be cheating a little bit with these seedlings from Bunnings. I got, I think 5 cherry tomato plants and 4 capsicum plants. I think all up they were less than $1 each. And 1 strawberry. So I'm going to be transplanting them from the soil that they're in now into the hydroponic system. And I'm going to just be putting everything in these larger pots, still the 2-inch net cups, put it on the wall and see how we go. The climbing plants, the tomatoes, capsicums, cucumbers soon too, will be going towards the bottom of the system in the larger pots, so that as they grow I can trellis them up the lattice and between the rest of the plants where I have space. And then I'll probably look at adding some more lettuce or chives, spring onions, stuff like that towards the top where they don't need trellising above them.